government cooperation deal is a deal that has been signed and allowing the fact that the national government will actually work hand in hand with the county government of Nairobi, okay? And that is not sitting well with everybody. Maybe it's just sitting well with the current governor of Nairobi, but it's not actually fitting in the eyes of the senator, SIFUNA, and people like BABU, the MP of Embakasi. Now, why are the two worried? Remember, the two have become a headache to the current regime. While SAKAJA is ODM, he strongly believes in the current regime because they have been shielding him so many times. There is a moment, Sakis Paraz, welcome again. So, you remember there is a time that SAKAJA was supposed to be impeached. And if not for Raila Odinga and possibly Ruto, he would have been flushed out of his office. So it came about to turn, or rather to transform him, such that he mostly now supports the government of the day. Recently now you realize that the president actually gave a super deal to the governor, a lot of money. And now people are questioning this, you know. Hello, I said hi also, Sakas Paras. I hope you're fine. Thank you so much for showing up. And I appreciate your presence. I think you watched me even yesterday, the previous video, and all this. So thank you so much for your support. That is all we need as presenters on these channels. Now, this is a political reaction, and of course, anybody who loves politics and wants to follow up the events will do so. Of course, I've stayed a long time before talking about other countries, but I'm still gathering details and getting to compose myself and get data to talk about other places. Thank you so much. Okay. So I've been listening to the Embakasi MP and at the same time the senator. They have been accusing the president, our President Ruto, that he is doing what we call power grab in Nairobi. And of course, today there were live streams by Citizen, and both of them were interviewed at different sessions with different teams, and all they had to say, they indicated that that deal is not good for Nairobi. What do you think? I don't know whether, even if you're not a Kenyan, how do you actually see the matter whereby we have a national government on top, but then it decides to pick part of the city and say that they are going to collaborate in the leadership? So Babu is not comfortable with that. Neither is Sifuna. Why the two? You know, from what Babu is saying, the rest of the people were also allowed to sign. And let's just look at this interview here. Let's quickly listen to this interview. Welcome, thank you so much.
Constituencies and 85 wards within Nairobi. Is it even practical? But going by the doctrine of
Sakis Paraz,
and they sign it, then it means that they already know the outcome. There's already an expectation that it is going to be implemented, because the moment it is signed, now it should be implemented. So these are going to be just exercises in futility, PR exercise. Cabinet secretaries are in this. That tells you that there's a complete takeover. A complete takeover. When you have a company and you own 50% of the shares, you own 51% of the shares, and another person has 49, this company belongs to who? To the 51%, correct? And that is why we were fighting that Safaricom ought not to have been sold, should not be sold. Because we know that this Nairobi is going to run under the leadership of President Ruto. Now the next question is, what intention do they have with Nairobi? What is it that they want to do in 1 year that was never done in 4 years? What is it? What is it that they want to do in 1 year? So it means that these are just corruption scandals that's going to come up. There's going to be pilferage of money. And clearly, the governor is already satisfied. The governor is one of the billionaires now in this city. It is quite unfortunate that he's a governor and he has created a billionaire in himself instead of creating several millionaires within Nairobi County. Yes. President anasema ya kwamba umesema anasema hajachukua Nairobi. The moment aliita governor wakakubaliana na wakaforma committee. Hii ni a new NMS. So kusema anataka kuweka 80 billion is neither here nor there. Kwa sababu the county government of Nairobi in itself iko na debt ya close to around approximately 121 billion Kenya shillings ya pending bills. These pending bills, you remember we were told that national government was supposed to pay it because NMS are the ones who did this. But they did it on behalf of the county, which means that the county also ought to have come in because these were functions of the county government. So this clearly tells you that if 121 billion cannot be paid, are they going to avail the 80 billion to do this job? And up to now, the last 4 years, 80 billion was not availed for Nairobians to do something. Are they going to work on it? Let me tell you, problem like water challenge, the national government, together with the county government, needs a total of only 100 billion Kenya shillings. And every Nairobian will receive water on a daily basis from Monday to Sunday by constructing more dams, around 2 to 3 dams. We only need close to around 100 billion. And we solve this water challenge permanently. And that 100 billion can come from the county government and the national government. County government alone, according to the recent World Bank report, clearly states that county government should be having an on-source revenue of close to around 67 billion Kenya shillings. Out of that, 37 billion is coming from these billboards and the billboards advertisement, sorry. So 37 billion. So which means that if a governor is competent enough, should be collecting 67 billion. Then with an additional of approximately over 20 billion from the national government, that's 87 billion Kenya shillings. But what do we always declare? We have a budget of 43 billion Kenya shillings annually. The governor has never reached even a collection. We've never implemented this budget fully because every time the government is boasting of having collected 12 billion, that is what he declares. Meanwhile, he has only a right of viewing only. So it means that the fact that he agreed that he should be viewing means that there's money that he gets from the back door. Okay? So this Nairobi is a graveyard of corruption. All these things which are being introduced is just about corruption. We've been told these things severally. We've been told that jobs will be given to the youth. We've been told that a mama mboga will graduate from selling a mboga to owning a supermarket. We've been told that a boda boda rider will graduate from having a boda boda to having matatus. We've never seen these things happening. Now you are being told again that 80 billion will be availed for Nairobians. Meanwhile, in only one financial year, Nairobi should be run on 87 billion Kenya shillings. So that is even an understatement, which means that they are collecting so much money that they are not declaring. The other day, the Auditor General was complaining. Audit report was showing that the county government of Nairobi, through the controller of budget, approved funding to the county government of Nairobi, and these funds disappeared. Actually, they're even using private companies to siphon these monies. 150 million disappeared. I hope you saw that. It was everywhere. So what does that tell you about the state of our county? So what was your last question? Okay.
Yeah, one question then.
Yeah. Illegality. And illegality has been committed. So definitely I would support any petition that is taken before any competent court of law so that Nairobians can be given what rightfully belongs to them. Nairobi has money because governor has been collecting money. Where is this money going to? He's only celebrating that I've served now 60 million plates. Honestly. Do we want to, what is happening with this Nairobi? Eh? As we feed the stomach, we need to feed the brains, because we need to feed the governor's brains, because he's confused. So we are not fighting the school feeding program, but we will do it in a better way, where no parent will even give 5 shillings, because that 5 shillings in a year for the total parents, kids in the school amounts to approximately 200 million per year. Where does that money go to? The French money, French government, money from the French government. Where does it go to? Over 150 million Kenya shillings. The 4 billion that was set aside for it. So we look at what is happening, honestly. Leto, with 4 billion, how many jobs can you create in Nairobi? To be honest.
Which one we agree there are challenges in the group, very unique challenges. And one would want to know what would have been the solution if no.
You are given Range Rover. How will you deal with these cartels? You are the one who's eating money. You are the bigger cartel. One of these cartels, I can finish them in 1 week. 1 week and there will be no cartel in Nairobi. This work does not need jokes. It needs serious people.
Away from Nairobi, I know there are demonstrations or rather protests by our opposition, united opposition on Friday because of SAKAJA. Are you going to be part of that team? And what do you think ought to be done on what is happening to Kenyans who attend your rallies?
It's very important to learn from history and note that even the current president of the Republic of Kenya, at one particular point, he was in opposition. And by the time that they were being tear-gassed and lives were lost, clearly he should learn something from it, because he should not serve us with the same medicine. And I'm so disappointed with the governments of the day, the regimes that are coming in.
All right, so that was Babu. So Babu actually was decampaigning the aspect of national government cooperation deal and saying it's just a graveyard of corruption that is being opened. Of course, Kenya generally, a lot of leaders have decided to eat corruption, sleep corruption, live corruption, survive corruption. And unfortunately in Kenya, when someone becomes wealthy, people celebrate. Actually, if I stand here, I am poor, and another person stands here, they are wealthy, people won't ask how they acquired their wealth. People just celebrate the other. They say, I want to be like so and so. Unfortunately, even the young children, including students in school, if you ask them, would you want to be this or that, they'll point at the wealthy person. And if you tell them, but do you know this person acquired wealth through corruption or scrupulous means, they'll tell you, as long as I get to the end, what matters is the result, okay? So the society has turned into a consequential theory argument and not the utilitarian. People are not working towards the common good for the majority. They are working towards the consequence, the fact that the end product is what matters to them. So it's unfortunate, but that's the reality that actually we have to address at first. Because tell me, how many people get into a government without anything? Their salary is just normal, but they use other means to actually accrue a lot of money. And within a short period, they have transformed their life into a luxurious lifestyle. And at the same time, now it becomes a risky one because they have to protect their wealth. So that's why when someone gets into a position, they don't want to exit because they know it's going to protect them on this stolen property. Ask me why many people are fighting for positions 2027. It's not because they like citizens or they love Kenya or they want to protect anybody. Most of them are just doing it for selfish purposes, so that once they go there, they know they are protected a lot of wealth for themselves. They are going to steal left and right and own a lot of things. And then Kenyans will be very happy with them, celebrating them when they are welcomed into churches. They speak, they stand there and speak. When they go home, they in fancy vehicles and people admire them. And they put on tall walls, all those sorts of things, luxury. Anyway, let's listen to Sifuna and then see what to do.
I wish to remind Governor SAKAJA that the Senate, in fact, directed that those NMS pending bills were the responsibility of State House, from where he was speaking yesterday. since the accounting officer for NMS was the comptroller. He should have used the opportunity yesterday to remind the president that thousands of contractors and workers are still owed money by State House and their livelihoods remain in peril as RUTO continues to ignore them. This agreement is a blatant continuation of the NMS model and with it, the culture of unpaid bills, weak audit systems and unbridled corruption. Fourthly, it is in the public knowledge that the national government owes Nairobians over 100 billion shillings in unpaid rates and other payables from national government institutions. RUTO throwing around the figure of 80 billion as a symbol of his generosity to the people of Nairobi is nothing but a ruse. Fifthly, the national government continues to hold on to functions that are solidly county functions under the 4th schedule of the Constitution. For instance, the Constitution recognizes only 2 levels of roads, and that is national trunk roads and county roads. Kenyans must note that national government agencies like Kura and Kera continue to insist on doing roads in Nairobi when they clearly need to hand over those roads and the attendant resources to the county government of Nairobi. In fact, the late BABU repeatedly called for the disbandment of these 2 agencies, going so far as including the full unbundling of the functions in the MOU he signed with President Ruto in March of 2025. Ruto continues to not only ignore that MOU, but to actively violate it as demonstrated by the so-called cooperation agreement. In addition, there exist constitutional and legal ways to channel funds to specific counties in recognition of their unique needs and status. These include additional allocations and conditional grants. Examples of these grants include grants to counties to construct headquarters and industrial parks. By the way, you should know Nairobi doesn't receive any of those funds, but other counties receive. If indeed we needed national government to build a world-class market at Gikomba, we can channel resources to the county government of Nairobi to build that world-class market through similar instruments. Lastly, it is my considered view that arrangements such as NMS and the proposed cooperation agreement unnecessarily obfuscate and complicate oversight and accountability processes by the assemblies, the Senate, and the Office of the Auditor General. The President at every turn dismisses concerns raised by both noise. He asked those with alternative ideas to give those ideas. Mr. President, I have said before that it is possible to govern and achieve development within the confines of the law, and I want to demonstrate this today. Here is what I would have done. Number 1, direct that all national government agencies that owe monies to the people of Nairobi immediately clear their obligations, which are in excess of Kenya shillings 100 billion, and let the County Assembly of Nairobi ring-fence those monies towards development projects, including roads, markets, drainage, garbage collection, and the payment of pending bills. By the way, Nairobi still holds the highest amount of pending bills, over 100 billion shillings, so that if we were paid the 100 billion shillings that the national government owes us, we can clear those pending bills. Number 2, immediately transfer all county functions to counties in accordance with the Constitution and the MOU that you signed with Raila Odinga. Dissolve Kura and Kera as per his advice and channel all the Nairobi County government to do our roads. Number 3, utilize existing legal instruments such as KARA and conditional grants to channel additional funds to Nairobi for streetlights and markets, noting the unique security needs of the capital county. 4, direct Treasury to honor the disbursement schedule passed by the Senate that legally requires them to transmit county shareable revenue by 15th of every month. You have heard us in the Senate complain of frequent delays, and the Council of Governors as well, frequent delays in disbursement of the shareable revenue, which is part of the problems, the causes of the problems in the counties. And you have heard that a state institution such as State House has already expended its entire budget 4 to 3 years. Yet county governments are behind 3 to 4 months in terms of receipt of their allocation. So you see, Mr. President, it is possible to remain faithful to your oath of office. We want development, but only if undertaken in strict accordance with the Constitution. This is, in fact, is the very function of leadership. I want to take this opportunity to urge both parties, my governor SAKAJA and the President, to shelve this agreement in the public interest and maintain fidelity to the Constitution through those ways that I have suggested to them. I thank you. This is my statement. No, it's not a mistake to have Nairobi as a county. The people of Nairobi are Kenyans like all the other people. That unique nature of Nairobi was recognized. I will give you another example. We have something called the Equalization Fund. The Equalization Fund was embedded in the Constitution after recognition traditionally marginalized. And if you read the language of the Constitution on the marginalization fund or the equalization fund, it says that we need to put in place some special funds to bring the level of infrastructure in those areas to the standard ordinarily enjoyed by the rest of the other counties. So,
all right, guys, that is the information from the two leaders, that is SIFUNA and BABU, who feel that it's unfortunate for the county, Nairobi, to have a national government running a large percentage of their projects. Okay, I don't know what you think about this, but anyway, let's get to Parliament. And today there was a lot of discussion, some of which were very hot discussions. Among them was the issue of promotions of teachers, the issue of considering to put as JSS teachers on permanent and pensionable arrangement. And there was another question on other matters. Let's just get to see this. We're just going to play what we also heard this guy speaking. Ndindi Nyoro spoke. We will begin with Ndindi Nyoro, what Ndindi Nyoro shared. Then we get to the others. So this is what Ndindi Nyoro said in the National Assembly today.
Nyoro Ndindi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I'll be very brief because there is not much time. First of all, is to appreciate the role that teachers play in our education sector. Because, Honorable Speaker, our human capital is policed through the education system. And the biggest asset we have in our education system is the personnel who are the teachers and the lecturers and all the other personnel who make that possible. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, it is important that we make our education system and institutions to be the center of meritocracy, because everything else sprouts from there. That when there are promotions to be done and any other consideration, Honorable Speaker, merit should always be the forefront. The second thing, Honorable Speaker, is to bemoan the fact that we have currently over 20,000 JSS interns in our learning institutions who have basically been volunteering to work for basically almost free, Honorable Speaker, for over a year. And the government had actually promised them that they were going to be absorbed into permanent and pensionable terms in the period of 1 year. But unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, they were coerced towards the end of last year, and they were coerced to sign an extension of the same internship, Honorable Speaker. It is important for all of us here as members of this Parliament, Honorable Speaker, that we call upon the government with immediate effect to confirm the JSS interns into permanent and pensionable terms. It doesn't matter whether the academic year has started. We can correct the wrong that has started, Honorable Speaker, with the 2026 by confirming all the JSS interns into permanent and pensionable terms. The other thing, Honorable Speaker, when teachers are getting jobs, because they are desperate in that situation, they are made to sign agreements including a form that they will not seek for transfer before 5 years are over. But Honorable Speaker, I don't think this is the right thing to do. Because, Honorable Speaker, there is a way that we can make actually our teachers to choose where they want to teach. And we could end up having balance in our institutions, but also having happy personnel. I think we need that policy of 5 years so that a teacher can seek transfer. Immediately they get a job. Because situations change. We could be having a teacher transferring from the area, the other one wants to go. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, that kind of marketplace balance can actually bring cohesion at the end of the day. Honorable Speaker, the last thing is that we must continue to agitate for totally free basic education in Kenya. And we have shown, and it has been shown that it is possible. And Honorable Speaker, during the budget making time, I'll be moving billion Kenya shillings from
Senator SIFUNA. Senator SIFUNA.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I can see the spirit of Lent and Ramadan is catching up with you. You're being very nice. and we want to wish all the Muslim brothers and my Catholic brethren happy Ramadan and a successful Lent. Honorable Speaker, I want to comment on the statement by Senator Morango, who, as everybody knows, is my standing advisor on matters of cash crops in this country. Honorable Speaker, he has presented a statement here that has quite shocked me about what is happening in this country. If you go to the data, Kirinyaga County is one of the counties that ranks highest amongst the coffee producers in this country. If you look at the amount or number of cooperative societies that are in that county and the debts that they are holding on their books, one would expect that because this commodities fund was set up precisely to provide cheap access to credit or access to cheap credit, then you would expect that Murang'a County would be on that list. How is it possible, Senator Murango, that when they are disbursing these funds, a county that has those credentials can miss out? Speaker, I was going through the data that he shared, that a county like Embu, which is not even in the top 5, got almost 171 million shillings in one cooperative alone and 59 million in another, and it's not even in the top 5. When you compare to a county like Bungoma, they got 6 million in one cooperative, 2 million in another, and 1 million in another. Honorable Speaker, we really need to be told what really is the criteria in this country for the distribution of resources. Where is the fairness? Where is the objectivity in the distribution of these resources? Because it just doesn't make any sense. We don't grow any coffee here in Nairobi. So I want this committee to provide these answers to me so that I can understand what really is going on in the distribution of resources in this country. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The matter is resolved. Mr. Speaker, this just looks like the recommendations that were made by the Court of Appeal when they were overturning the decision of the lower court, the Labour Committee, Mr. Speaker, that had actually granted the prayers of the petitioners to, Mr. Speaker, pay the dues that were owed, or rather that are owed to the former employees of the KCC, Mr. Speaker. In the recommendations that were made by the Court of Appeal.
All right, guys. So, of course, we may go on listening to all these discussions, but the bone of contention is that today the parliament actually showed the true picture of representation. And if they go on matters, then we are going to see a better life ahead of us. Adios, good night.